Figuring out what to take on safari can be a little bit daunting. So today we're going to cover exactly what you need, what you don't need, and kind of help you sort through all the gear that you use. So I just got back from Africa, and what you see in front of you is everything that I took, except for a separate suitcase that had my camera gear in it. But we're gonna break it down. We're gonna talk about the paperwork that you need, the clothing, hunting equipment, and any miscellaneous items that you might want or things that you don't need. So let's get to it. Let's take a look at what clothing you should pack for Africa. This is probably the #1 question, followed by what kind of footwear should I take to Africa? We're gonna answer both of those. So before you is everything that I took as far as clothing goes for my trip. As you see, it's not a whole lot. As a matter of fact, it will all fit in this 40-liter REI Ruckpack. Now, what's nice about this pack is it's the exact dimensions for international travel on most airlines. Obviously, check your airline and make sure that you've got the correct dimensions. But if you're not traveling with a rifle, you don't need to bring a whole lot of luggage. If you are traveling with a rifle, you will have to have one other checked bag besides your rifle case to put your ammo in. But if you're just renting a rifle there, you can literally take a carry-on and be done. So obviously you'll have a personal item with you, which you can carry some snacks with, maybe your camera, that kind of stuff, but everything else will fit in this pack. So what's nice about this pack and why I like it is that it looks kind of like a duffel. It's got handles on the sides. It's got a handle on the top here so that you can carry it. But it also unzips in the back here and then folds up into this little pocket. And now you've got a backpack. Makes it super easy for traveling with. You've got compartments on the side for a water bottle or quick access to snacks or something like that. It does have, water bladder things and all that other stuff like a regular backpack would for hiking. But talking about a travel bag, really nice. Now, the side opens up so you can get into the main compartment. So that's really nice there if you're trying to get something out of there without opening up the whole thing. The other side is nice because it's actually sealed up. It's a separate compartment from the main compartment. Has several pockets, phone chargers, cables, stuff like that goes great in here. Now, one of the main reasons that I like this pack, besides the fact that it fits everything that I need it to, and it's the exact dimensions for carry-on, is bag, which allows you to get to everything. Multiple pockets on the inside to store stuff and sort things, and it makes it very, very simple. It's got a laptop sleeve. Your laptop can fit in there if you're traveling with a laptop, but that's one of the reasons why I really like this bag. Now we're just gonna go across the table and look at everything that you need for clothing-wise for Africa. So starting off, a couple of things that are essential. #1, a headlamp or a flashlight, something like this. It doesn't have to be expensive, it can be a cheap little flashlight, but because there are basically rolling blackouts in South Africa, the lights are off 8 hours out of the day most of the time. You have to have a flashlight with you. So that is a must-have for traveling over there. A cell phone charger is a great thing to have, a portable battery pack. I use one from Dark Energy. It works great, charges my cell phone multiple times, and it's really, really good item to have. Another thing that's great to have is a power converter and inverter that changes the electricity over and lets you use their electricity. This one was nice. It came from Amazon. It's got all the different plugs for traveling around the world, 4 USBs, 3 plugs across the top. Since I'm traveling with a lot of camera gear and all that kind of stuff, this is great to have and allows me to keep all my devices charged up all the time. Throw that in the bag. Now, one thing that is vital that you absolutely must have is a good pair of gaiters. So these are from Tag. These are just cloth gaiters. They're Velcro. They go around your ankles. And what it does is it keeps your pant leg closed and it keeps all the seeds and ticks and everything else from getting up in your socks. Even the PHs that wear shorts all the time, they all have gaiters. Now these are cloth and they were very, very inexpensive. They worked great, and this is what I used the entire trip, but they would come back absolutely covered in dust, dirt, seeds, thorns, all sorts of things getting in there. So while I was over there, I upgraded these. So these are the leather ones from Mark of Legend, and they have elastic across the top, just like the other ones. They're solid leather, so none of the seeds and thorns and everything stick to it. But what's great is it's zippered, so it zips up. It doesn't have the Velcro, and these are really, really nice. So I recommend looking at some leather ones. Again, the canvas ones work just fine, but leather ones work great too. You know, when you go over there, it's winter time, but you still might want to pack a swimsuit. I mean, some places have hot tubs. You might want to go for a dip. It's going to be cold, but hey, swimsuit might be a great addition. Obviously, you want to take all your medication, toothbrush, toothpaste, deodorant, you know, all that kind of stuff. Also, make sure and bring your soaps and shampoos to use wherever you're staying. They might not have what you want, or they might not have them at all. So just a good thing to have. Now, I use this Ultrathon insect repellent lotion. This was great for the ticks, the mosquitoes, all that kind of stuff. It's inexpensive. As you can see, it's small, carry-on size, works great. So I highly, highly recommend that. So, medications, personal items, there you go. Now, this is something that no matter what type of safari that you're going on in South Africa or Africa in general, you really need a pair of binoculars. You're gonna wanna scout the animals. You're gonna wanna see what the PH is seeing. If you go on photo safari or anywhere else, you're just gonna need a pair of binoculars. I like this case. This is by T&K Hunting. It's a chest rig, goes on. It's really nice. You can add multiple different pockets to the side. I added a rangefinder pocket here on the side, so it holds my rangefinder in there. Honestly, I never even pulled it out because my PH had a rangefinder, so I didn't need it. But the lid here is magnetic, so it closes up, locks it on the front, flips to the back, keeps everything nice and tight in there. Binoculars just come out right here. They stay in there, rides right on your chest, no big deal. Now you see that I've got this little thing here. This is a Spuds microfiber cleaning cloth. You can pick these up pretty much anywhere. What's great is it comes out like this. Use it to wipe your lenses down. I used it on my scope. I used it on the binoculars. So this is just a great little extra addition to have on however you carry your binoculars, whether it's with a harness, a neck thing, whatever. But I preferred this chest rig just because it kept everything out of the way, kept it tight up against my body. It wasn't bouncing all around and moving all around while I was hiking through the bush. But a good pair of binoculars is a must for any safari. So, up next, pants. Now, you can wear shorts, you can wear pants. It is a little cooler over there when you're hunting. I prefer pants. I wear pants all the time, so it wasn't any big deal for me. It did keep all the thorns and briars and seeds off me, and it helped keep the ticks off. As you can see here, ticks were everywhere in the region that we were at, and they were covered all over my pant legs most of the time. However, because I treated them, they fell right off once they attached. Now, looking at clothing in general, one of the things that you want to think about is cotton. Most PHs recommend cotton. There's a couple of reasons for that. Number one, depending on where you're traveling in Africa, tsetse flies can be an issue. Most of the time they wash these in hot water, and they use a hot iron to iron them. Obviously, synthetics in hot water and with a hot iron are a bad idea. So I used cotton. I highly recommend you use cotton. Having said that, it's very hard to find cotton pants. I found these from Orvis. They work great. You can see me using them all throughout the hunting video that I just did. They're about a medium weight. They're very strong, very durable, and they didn't get ripped or torn or anything like that. Now, talking about the amount of clothing you should take, I highly recommend that you do not overpack. Everybody will tell you do not overpack. That's why if you limit yourself to a smaller bag, you can't overpack. So you only need 3 pairs of shirts, 3 pairs of pants, 3 pairs of socks, 3 pairs of underwear. That's it. Again, I put a swimsuit in there, but you don't even need that really most of the time. Now, since you're wearing a set of clothes on the way over there, you really only need 2 sets of stuff to pack in your bag. So I've got 2 pairs of pants here, and we will just shove those right in here. Now, shirts. A couple of options here. So I found these are inexpensive. They're from Redhead. I got them at Bass Pro Shop. They're 100% cotton. I think they were like 20 bucks. So for me, I was like, hey, great. You know, if they get torn, ripped up, whatever. But actually they worked really well. Notice that it's a long sleeve. I wore long sleeves most of the time. The reason for that is a little cool in the morning. I didn't want to have to carry another jacket, but it also kept the sun off me and again, helped keep the insects and the ticks and that kind of stuff. So I packed a short sleeve shirt. I packed 2 long sleeve shirts. I wore the short sleeve shirt on the plane. The other 2 long sleeve shirts were in my bag, and there you go. Now, socks, highly recommend something like a wool sock or a buffalo fiber sock, something that pulls the moisture away, that's natural fibers. You know, socks are important. Get them tall so that they cover up your ankles, they go up high, and that the gaiters snap around it, and a couple pairs of socks. Underwear, personally, I prefer the ex officio underwear. They work great, they don't smell, they wick away the moisture, they're nice and light. Obviously, that's a personal preference, but a couple of pairs of underwear. And then, finally, footwear. Highly debated topic, but you don't need heavy footwear in Africa. You need something that's light and something that's quiet. You know, my PHs wore something that was basically like a tennis shoe, although it was full leather, but the sole was very thin, and the reason why is that you need to be quiet. You don't want to be breaking branches and making a lot of noise hiking around, and you need to be able to move fast. So something that is light and flexible. These are the Merrell Moabs. They have several different versions of these. These are the all leather. They happen to be waterproof too, because that's the only way they come. And these work great. As you can see, they're about a little bit above the ankle. They're not super tall. It allowed me to be quick and light. They bend really easy. They're basically like wearing a tennis shoe. Super comfortable. Highly recommend them. Obviously, there's lots of options for footwear out there. Point is, don't get a big heavy boot when going to Africa. Now, as you see, I just kind of shoved all this stuff in this pack. I didn't even really try to pack it, nice and tight or anything like that. I just, kind of shoved it in here. So there is more than enough space to hold everything. And I've got extra space and room to spare, as you see. So if you actually pack this thing down right and pack it tight, you have tons of extra space you can use for a camera, maybe a couple of other personal items, whatever else you feel like packing. Point is, don't take a lot. Now, one final thought on clothing. Depending on where you go in Africa, camo is illegal. Either way, it's kind of frowned upon in a lot of places. I didn't go with camo. Your pH probably isn't going to be in camo. You're going to wear beiges and neutral colors. So, browns, tans, olive greens, colors that you would think blend in, don't stand out. Nothing bright, nothing super dark. So don't wear blacks, don't wear dark blues, but khaki colors, light tans, light olives, all those work great in Africa. If you have any questions, of course, your pH can help guide you. But there you go. That's my recommendations for clothing. So if you are traveling with a rifle, you have to have a case like this, a plastic or metal case that carries your ammo. It has to be locked with non-TSA locks, and it has to be in your checked luggage. So if you are traveling with a rifle, you automatically have to check a bag, at least one. So non-TSA locks, that way no one can break into it. The TSA actually wants them locked up so that no one can get to them. Now, I got this cheap little plastic case from Harbor Freight. Super cheap and inexpensive. Reason for that is, if something happened to it, it got lost, got stolen, I'm not out a whole lot of money. Ammo is expensive these days, so I would only be out the ammo. Now, these inexpensive locks I also picked up at the hardware store. You know, if you really pried it, or if you had some wire cutters or something that were super strong, you could probably break these open, and that was kind of intentional on my part, and I'll tell you why, is because on the inside, I actually kept another set of keys, a set of keys in here that unlocked my rifle case. Since my luggage would be separate from each other, I kept an extra set of keys in here in case the keys that I had in my carry-on got lost or misplaced or something like that. Obviously, no one's going to know what the keys are for. They were hidden under the foam, so you know. But it gave me a little bit of peace of mind. Now, this little box here is big enough to hold 2 boxes of ammo. So I was shooting 300 Win Mag in my Blaser R8, so it held 2 boxes. That's 40 rounds of 300 Win Mag, which was more than enough for a plains game hunt. You can imagine that you're going to have to zero your gun in over there, so that's 3 or 4 rounds. If your scope gets knocked off 0, like mine did, watch the video if you haven't seen that, then you'll have to re-zero it, so there's another 3 or 4 rounds. And you know, even if you think 2 or 3 rounds per animal, 40 rounds is more than enough to get the job done. Now you can bring more, but check the restrictions about what the airline allows and what the country that you're going to allows for ammo. Again, I prefer the Barnes TTSX. You know, I've read on several forums, I've talked to a ton of outfitters. No outfitter is going to complain about you using Barnes ammo. Super high quality. Obviously, there's a lot of different ammos out there. I'm not just repping Barnes, I'm just saying it's a good quality ammo. It's personally my favorite hunting ammo. It's a little bit on the pricey side, but it's never ever let me down. Now, since we've got this out of the way, the case for your ammo, let's look at your gun case. So just like bags and cases and everything else, there are a lot of options for transporting your firearm. I personally prefer the Nanook. It's great, super solid, has built-in TSA locks. If you're not traveling with a firearm, having these built in is great, but it also helps latch these center latches. You have to have padlocks that are non-TSA on your case. So you can put 4 locks across the front. I've got the 2 TSA locks in the middle, 2 padlocks on the outside. There's no way that anybody is getting into this case, and that's the way that the TSA wants it. No one should be able to enter this case but you, the person with the key. Now, having said that, in most cases, it's less expensive to not take your own firearm to Africa. Most of the times, the outfitters have guns that you can rent for less money than it costs to bring your firearm. After the baggage, the extra baggage fee, the overweight fee, the paperwork, and everything was said and done, I think it cost me around $450 just to use my own gun in Africa. Now for me, it was worth it. I'm shooting a Blaser R8 and I absolutely love that gun. I'm taking it all around the world and I wouldn't trade for anything. So I would pay the extra money to be able to take my own firearm personally. But that's something that you've got to weigh for yourself. Now, once you have your case and your firearm in the case, make sure the gun's unloaded and no ammo in this case. Remember, your ammo goes in a separate box in your checked bag. But before you can travel with this, you need to go down to the airport with the firearm and get a signed copy of a 4457. What that is that is showing that you are taking this firearm out of the country and you're bringing it back. It will have your model, it'll have the caliber, and it'll have the serial number of this firearm on that piece of paper. Very important, because you cannot get back into the country without that piece of paper. The government thinks that you're trying to bring a firearm into the country illegal, and they don't have any record of you taking the firearm out. Now, whenever I was down there getting my paperwork filled out, someone came in with ammo. Big no-no. Do not bring ammo into the airport with a firearm to get your paperwork done. They don't want to see the ammo. They don't care that you're bringing ammo. They know you're bringing ammo because you're bringing a gun. Do not bring the ammo with you. Just bring your unloaded firearm in a locked case. They will bring you back to a separate room. You will open up the case in front of the agent. They'll check the serial number on your paperwork. They'll sign it, stamp it, give it to you, and you go on your way, and then you're ready for your flight in a couple months. Now, let's take a look at what I have inside this case and what I took to Africa and why I took what I took. Okay, so this is exactly everything that I took to Africa and how it was packed. So the nice thing about the Blaser is that it does undo into two parts, which lets you get it down into a smaller case. Now you see that it packs down half the length of a regular rifle because of that. Now, you might notice this interesting pad that I've got here. This is by Kor, K-O-R, and this molds, custom molds to your firearm. So I've got it set up here. You can see the indentation of where the barrel goes, where the scope goes, and this is rock hard. So if I take this stuff out, I can actually use the pump that it comes with, pump it up into a configuration where it's soft and not hard. And what this will do is allow me to then take and remold it how I want to. So you see that it's airing up. So I'm just pumping air into it. Inside, it's kind of like a giant beanbag. Let's say I want to put the gun in like this. So I'm gonna push that down, kind of mold that in there. I'm gonna take my barrel and my scope and put it the opposite direction that I had before. So, see, it's kind of floating on this pillow of air with these bean bags inside of it. If I take my pump now and switch the hose configuration around to where the hose is at the top instead of at the bottom, now I can actually suck all this air out and custom fit it to my gun. So let's take a look. So now this is rock solid, it's not going anywhere, and it's custom molded to my firearm. With the lid closed, this isn't gonna move at all. This is a great system to take with you if you're traveling to someplace dusty or humid, because it can wipe clean, it doesn't trap moisture, and if you're using different firearms for different trips, it's one case that you can travel the world with just this Kor insert. Now, on top of having my rifle in there, I also carried a few other things. So I had a pair of leather gloves, which I actually didn't wind up needing. A lot of people recommended gloves for messing with the game and whatnot, but they take care of everything for you. I had my neck gaiter in there, just wrapped around my scope just to protect it, to give it a little bit extra cushion. My sling, of course, was in the bag. A small toolkit. This carries the screwdriver and all the bits for my scope, my gun, anything else. I carried my silencer. This is the Bowers Verse 375. Great silencer for Africa. 375 H&H all the way down. A cleaning kit has my tool for my Blaser to screw the barrel together. This cleaning kit is by Cleansall, and it has all the brushes and all the cables and everything that you need to clean any type of rifle. It's a solid rod and a cable, so you can clean it quickly. I really like this toolkit because it's durable and it's one kit that I can use no matter where I'm traveling. Of course, I also have my bolt in a separate pouch. That's one of the nice things about the Blaser as well, is that you can have that separate and then it's not digging into the foam, it's not digging into the case, not causing any problems. Underneath this foam over here, I actually put my binoculars. The binocular case that I use is by TK Hunting. It's a great little case and it works really well. If you take the firearm out, underneath, I had something a little bit different. I actually had my shooting sticks underneath this foam. So I had a Leatherman under here, and I had my shooting sticks. Now these are the Viper Flex sticks, and I really like them. I did a video on it. Check out that video to see them in use. I want to use my own sticks since I'm really comfortable with them and I'm used to using them. Of course, every PH over in Africa is going to have shooting sticks, so that's not necessary, but just nice to have. All right, let's take a little bit closer look at the Blaser R8 that I took and all the accessories for the firearm. So as you can see, what's nice about the Blaser is that it breaks down into two parts. So the barrel actually comes off of the stock. Now it's pretty simple. There are two screw holes down here at the bottom, and this aligns with your barrel. Now, another great thing about this is that you can take multiple barrels with you just by simply unscrewing them. So if you want to take, say, a 300 Win Mag and a 375 H&H, that's something that's really easy to do. Or if you want to take a smaller caliber, like say a 22-250 for hunting the small game, and then a large caliber like a 375 or a 300, that's also easy to do. So as you can see, now it's ready to go. See that the bolt is not in this gun though. So one of the things that I have is this little case for the bolt. This allows me to store it in this case in my hard case, and that way this bolt knob doesn't stick out the side of the case and cause any problems there. So super easy. This just slides in the back of the firearm just like that. And as you see, this is a straight pull rifle. So all I have to do is pull straight back, push straight forward. Quick and simple. So that's the nice thing about this gun. You're on an animal, real fast. Back on target. Shooting off sticks, this makes it really nice to be quick and be able to stay on target. Unlike another bolt gun, takes a little bit longer, can absolutely do it, but that's why I use the Blaser. So on top I've got a Swarovski scope here. This is the ZAI, the 3.5 to 28 by 50. The clarity on this scope was phenomenal. While we're talking about scopes, there's a couple of things that you might want to consider. These are both cleaning kits for scopes. They come with several different things in here. This is cleaning agent, a little brush, a microfiber cloth, a little air blower to blow out. There's several different types of these kits on the market. This is one of the ones that I have. It's nice to have these, especially when you're filming. This one is pretty cool. It goes on your, so you can carry it with you. Some of the same stuff, cleaner, brush, that kind of stuff. It's incredibly dusty in Africa, so make sure that you take some sort of cleaning cloth or something to clean your scope with, because it's going to get extremely filthy. Now, another thing that's great to have is some sort of ammo wallet. I like a leather one that just has this little snap on it. It's quiet, it's not Velcro, holds 5 rounds, super easy to get to. The rounds stay in there tight, it's not going anywhere. Galco makes one that's specifically designed for this. Goes on your belt, several different calibers available there, so not a big deal. So the other component is a silencer. Now, obviously you don't have to hunt with a silencer, but it makes it extremely nice. You can hear, you can talk to your PH without wearing hearing protection. The animals don't know exactly where you're shooting from. It's really nice. Now, obviously there are a ton of silencers on the market, but when building out this universal kit, I was looking for something that I could take anywhere and use for any caliber in Africa. And I've got the Bowers Group Verse 375. So obviously 375, so it can do 375 H&H all the way down. So it works great on my 300 Win Mag. It's just a direct thread and it's super easy and it sounds phenomenal. Actually, one of the guides commented about how quiet it was, that he had not heard a 300 Win Mag be that quiet before. Now, traveling outside the United States with a silencer is super easy. It's the exact same form as for your rifle, your 4457. All you do is write down the name and the serial number of the silencer, have them sign it at the TSA, boom, good to go. When you come back in, they'll ask to see that, and it's no big deal, just like transporting your rifle. Now, I did have a copy of my tax stamp with me, just in case, but they didn't even ask to see that. They just wanted to see that I took it out. I'm bringing it back in, no big deal. Now, all of this can be avoided for the most part, except for your ammo wallet, but everything else can be avoided if you just rent a rifle from your PH. Sometimes that's the least expensive way to do things, and it's definitely a lot less hassle. However, since I have my own setup with a great scope and a great gun, I wanted to be able to use these over in Africa. As I mentioned, this is my go-to rifle now, the Blaser R8, just because of how fast it works, how easy it is to cycle the action, the fact that you've got over 50 different calibers with these barrels, and it makes it super simple to hunt anywhere in the world. So that's a look at the gear that I took with me to South Africa. I would love to hear your recommendations. If you have a special piece of gear that you like, drop them in the comments below. Speaking of that, if you look in the description, there's a link to our article that breaks down all this gear and a checklist for traveling to Africa. So if you would like to hunt with RDB Safaris, visit store.internationalsportsman.com. We've got special discounts for you. You will not find better prices than these anywhere else. If you would like to reach out to us and ask us any questions, email contact@internationalsportsman.com, and we'd be happy to answer those questions for you. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook, like this video, and we'll see you next time.